Hi everybody, welcome to Reality in Resin with that lady Heather. So, what's happening today? We're talking about Below Deck Season 12, Episode 3. I just posted Season 12, Episode 2, so make sure you go and check that out. This is Episode 3. While we're talking about all the things, why don't you subscribe to my channel? I'm trying to get 50 subscribers. I know I'm just a little baby channel. I'm at 32 right now, so every like helps me. Every subscribe, hitting that bell helps me. Doing all the things, everything you guys could do, it helps me right now because I'm trying to get my channel to grow. I'm wearing my BravoCon hoodie. I don't know if I'm going this year, you guys. I'm on the waiting list, so we'll see. We shall see, but I love BravoCon, and I went to the other two. I went to BravoCon New York and BravoCon Vegas, and I got this in BravoCon New York, I think. I got jean jacket in BravoCon Vegas. I will insert a picture of and show you. Insert picture. Let's get into it. Below Deck, Episode 3, Season 12. I believe this one's called Fight Island. That could be called Fight Island for any number of reasons. How do we begin? Chef Anthony comes on board. Yay, we love Chef Anthony. He's awesome. He goes around and says hi to everybody. He says hi to Fraser. He meets Chef Lawrence. They start getting organized. I think the agreement is Chef Lawrence is going to stay on for one charter. Chef Anthony gets used to things, gets kind of the layout of the land, and then he's supposed to leave, and Chef Anthony is supposed to take over, and we'll see how that goes. There's already a lot of indication that Chef Anthony is going to have a similar time, a similar challenging time to last season. I don't know that his cleanliness has improved that much. He might have a learning disability of some sort, which is not helping the organization. Can't remember if they went into it last season or not. I'm dyslexic, so I totally get that. And yeah, there are definitely like tricks that I've learned along the way to cope and manage with my dyslexia, but it does get in the way sometimes. There's no doubt about it, especially under like a system that's pressure. If there's a lot of pressure on somebody, it's very hard for you to start processing and thinking. And Chef Anthony seems to be having the same difficulties. So we'll see what happens there. There's a lot of like him and Fraser, a lot of foreshadowing and like previewing of him and Fraser getting into a fight over whether Fraser got him fired or not. I think I mentioned in the last video that Fraser might have relayed the message to the captain as to why Chef Anthony wasn't working out. And I can't even remember if he relayed the message himself or if he just agreed to it. I know there was a clip and we saw him telling the captain, but I don't know if the captain had like asked him or if he went to the captain, which is a slight nuance. Like if he went to the captain and like ratted him out, that's different than the captain asking him. But also, my point remains the same. If Chef Anthony was doing his job the way that, you know, if you don't give people something to complain about, they won't have anything to complain about unless they're just going to lie and make things up, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. But hopefully, people don't generally do those things. But yeah, Chef Anthony, you got let go because you weren't great at your job. And I know that that's like a tough pill to swallow, but those are the facts. And Fraser fought for you to come back. He put in good words. I think he even put in a good word at the time of your firing. I think he volunteered to help clean with you more and things like that. I don't know. I hope this fight, you know how sometimes Bravo teases a thing and then it turns out to be like not that big of a deal. I'm hoping this is the case in this situation because I really like them. And if anything, I want them to like hug up. I don't want them to be fighting. Okay, so in general, everybody's getting ready for the next charter. There's a countdown to how long it is before the next charter. The chefs are going through the pantry and stocking stuff. Fraser assigns Solène and Rainbow. Like Rainbow is going to look after Solène and show her the ropes, which is it starts off with Rainbow laying down the line right away and saying that she's not going to be saying please and thank you and like, basically treating her with kid gloves and being nice unnecessarily. She's going to be like directing her what to do and hoping she does that. So, and Solène gives her like a little bit of a flippant attitude, but I don't know. And she always says, she's like, oh, you're giving me such a hard time. You're giving me such a hard time. And it's like, are you? I don't know if you are. This girl, she just doesn't want to work. That's what the facts are. She just wants to like be on TV and like flirt with boys and stuff. And her ex-boyfriend was on the last season of Blow Deck, so I'm sure that there was like all kinds of drama around that. So, but I'm skipping ahead. It's so funny. So because I did the two videos in a row, I've watched Below Deck season 2 and 3 kind of all together, and then I watched them both to take notes, and then I did rewatches, and I just filmed two, so I'm getting everything like kind of mixed up in my head. So if I'm overlapping, things that we saw in episode 2 with things we were seeing in episode 3, I really apologize. I don't think I am, though. I think I've got it pretty organized. We'll see. I might be jumping ahead in the episode itself, though. That's always a possibility. Okay, so while everybody's getting ready, the deck crew starts getting ready, and Caro gives this conversation about the teak, and it's so, like, it's just so him. It's just such a perfect, like, in a nutshell, what this guy is like. So they're all sitting around talking about the teak and like how to polish it. And he's like, some school of thought is you go with the grain because then you're not like roughing up the teak and ruining the wood. But then you could also go against the grain because then you're really like getting the dirt out. And then it just like, well, what's the answer? How do you want people to do it? You're the boss. You have to decide. I mean, or everybody's just allowed to do everything. That seems okay too. I mean, in the whole like scrubbing of the teak thing, I have no idea how important that is. If it's like level 10 important or level 0 important. To me, it doesn't sound that important, but like neither does ironing a bed. I might be a little like Solène on that one. So I don't know. I would want somebody to tell me what to do, and then I could do it. And then if I do it wrong, you could tell me like I did it wrong. Clear instructions. That would be great. So, but anyway, of course, they don't get clear instructions from him because he's indecisive. Speaking of ironing the sheets, so then we flash ahead we could talk about Rainbow and Solène getting ready and making beds and getting the cabins ready. So everybody's like all getting ready for the charter. And there's 4 cabins. And so they're making this bed. And as you remember from the last episode, I think they were doing turn downs and somebody hadn't like touched the half of the bed. So Celine was like, I'm just going to pull up the other half of the bed and leave it like that. And Barbara gave her all kinds of trouble for that. So now she's like, hands off. I'm not doing anything unless I'm told, which I can kind of understand and relate to. I am very much like this. But also, like, there's so many different ways to do things, especially in the hospitality industry. If you don't give clear instructions, you get in trouble no matter what. I mean, honestly, I've done a million different jobs in the hospitality industry, and every place is different, and everybody says that they're like doing industry standards, and like they kind of throw this like fine dining yachty stuff around as though it's just a given, and it's not just a given. Every place is different. If you want your staff to do what you want your staff to do at your place, you need to be clear, and you need to let them know, and you need to follow up with them and let them know, ongoing. It's an ongoing thing. Nobody should be surprised when they're fired because you've had so many conversations up into the firing that it's almost a relief for everybody because we've tried so many different things. You don't hire people with like the intention of not coaching and guiding them along the way. And if you're doing your job right, hopefully they'll rise to the challenge. Some people just aren't meant to be, and you'll figure that out pretty quickly too. Anyway, clear instructions are key, and it's not happening here. But it's also in this particular situation, unlike the Cairo situation, she's also just being a little bit of a princess. And I still think it's pretty easy to just say, okay, you have to iron every single sheet. I know that it's already taking her forever, but if she just has a standard answer, she has less time to like flail around. This girl spends a lot of time just sort of flailing around. And you see it in like when they do the cuts between the scenes. I mean, one time she was just trying to play with a napkin and a bottle. And I mean, I know that we're just getting the edited version and whatnot, but she also seems like the type that's just mostly playing around and not doing her job. That's why the other girls are spending like twice as long doing the cabins. I mean, Rainbow did 3.5 cabins to her half a cabin. So the frustration is building amongst the stews with, I don't know that Fraser has noticed yet. He seems to be concentrating on just like the actual like guests and the laundry situation and the Chef Anthony stuff. They haven't really shown a lot of him interacting with the stews, so we don't really know just yet how much he has awareness he has over this drama that's happening right now. I think he's going to find out soon because I think it's going to blow up soon, especially if Solène doesn't start picking up her socks because these girls are going to burn out. We already see it happening. Let me carry on with the episode. I'm jumping ahead again. You guys, I jump ahead all the time and I feel like there's something in my nose and I can't stop itching it and I'm on camera and I shouldn't be scratching my nose. Okay, I have dogs. So sometimes there's like little fluffy things that float around. Oh, so yes. So they're all talking about her, but they're talking about her in the crew mess. So who are they talking about? Let me be clear. Everybody's talking about Solène and her bed, and it comes up while they're all eating dinner, and Captain Carey is there, and he's listening, and Solène is saying to Rainbow, "Oh, you gave me a really rough time today," and Rainbow's like, "What? What are you talking about? I didn't give you a rough time. Talking about ironing bed sheets for longer than 2 minutes is too long." Captain Carey definitely took notice. Barbara also made a joke about, oh, she made a really good bed this time. She made a really good bed. It maybe took her 2 hours to make this really good bed, but she made a really good bed, and they all laughed. And Captain Carey made the comment, oh, you're laughing now. And obviously, you're not going to be laughing for long, and he's already made notice of that. So was an interesting side note, I thought. 19 hours until charter. 19 hours till charter. Oh my God, 19 hours till charter. And now Captain Carey lets Fraser in on who the new charter guests are going to be. Guess what? They're, how many? Five? Eight gay porn stars, and our main primary guest is from Toronto. Yeah, Toronto. So Fraser. So it's gonna be 5 days, 8 guests, all porn stars. They're gonna go to 3 different countries, and it sounds like it's gonna be amazing. 3 countries, 3 islands, 5 days, 8 gay porn stars. Fraser loses his mind. Not only is he freaking out because like 5 days, that's a lot of days, that's a lot of days without any breaks, and they're also like new, but then the added stuff of like the porn star stuff, not only is that like fun and exciting, they also want really like a lot of different events. Somebody has to go and make like a giant sand penis, so that's fun. So everybody's really excited about that. So everybody leaves to go tell their various departments, and this is how they're doing the preference meetings now. Instead of just the captain talking to the heads of the department, they're kind of editing it together where the captain tells the heads of the department, clipped in with the heads of the department telling their teams. So it's making for like, I don't know, it's way more interesting because you have multiple people reacting to, the guests and what they're going to be like before they get there. Not just like 3 people who are heads of department who are used to just like reading things off paper. So I really like this change and I hope Bravo keeps it up. What do you guys think? Do you like it or do you like the old way where it's just the heads of department that we see? I mean, something that's more formal if you're into that. Okay. Oh my gosh. So all the crew is reacting. Porn stars on board for 5 days, such a long charter, and they're all freaking out and everybody's doing their various things to freak out. The funniest part that I thought was Kyle and Barbara like Googling the porn and then watching the porn. That's 100% what I would have done. I totally would have Googled the porn and watched the porn. I'm telling you right now, that's what I would have done. for each and every one of them. And I probably would have done a little bit of like internet, looking at your Instagram. Actually, I probably would have watched the Instagram first. Would I have watched the porn? I don't know. Maybe I definitely would have, but I think I would have gone social media stuff first and then porn stuff. And also, I mean, it really is up to the Google. It depends how the Google wants to give it to me. That's how we all kind of live. Speaking of which, hit that subscribe button, help my algorithm out, like that bell. No, it's the thumb. Do something with the bell. I think the bell sends you notifications. That would be great if you got notifications, don't you think? I don't like notifications, but don't listen to me. What do I know? Nothing. I know that I'm trying to start a YouTube channel and I need subscribers. Oh my gosh. So they all talk about the porn stars that are coming and they look at the porn films and the chefs are getting along really well and they're getting all organized. It's later on in the day and Caio and Solène start talking about, like, they're kind of canoodling, I would say. There definitely seems to be like a budding romance in the mix there, possibly. And he's like looking at her bracelets and she doesn't want to take her bracelet off. And this is when we find out the bracelet is from her ex boyfriend Dylan, who was on the show last season. And I vaguely remember him. They did flashbacks of him, and I remember that sort of. I remembered that on my second or third viewing. So sorry, Dylan, but I don't know that you made that much of an impact on me. But also, below deck, the crew changes. The crew changes quick. So, you kind of forget the people that were on. If a long lasting below deck member is either like the captains, obviously, or Chief Stew is a good one, but you have to be really good. And even then, maybe you're only on for like 2 seasons, maybe 3. So below deck's the tough one of the Bravo franchises. But they're also making so much money being yachties that they don't really need below deck as much. And like, Colin does his own, YouTube channel where he sails all around. You should check that out. I forget what it's called. It's like Percival or something. I forget. I'll look it up and then I'll let you know while I'm reviewing the next episode of Below Deck. So stay tuned for that. Good news coming your way. Okay, so basically we end this part with like lube being put everywhere and waiting for the guests to come. So, and she makes a joke about being Catholic, and that was funny. I don't think I think lube everywhere is going to be fine. I think that's what these people are looking forward to. And then Captain doesn't have a uniform. No uniform. This is the third time no uniform? It happens 3 times. Oh, it happens 3 times and this is the first of 3 times. So spoiler alert. I am jumping all ahead. I can't help it. And there's a part where the French food is like making love and English guy says, the chef is like, brute force, just get it done. Get it done with brute force. So I guess that's the difference between the English and the French cooking. And there's lobster pinnis mac and cheese. That sounds good to me. It doesn't really. I really like a fresh pasta, and that was in like box, like, and not even like a good looking box. It was just a box. Well, it was kind of a good looking box, I guess. It had bright colors. That's always what I look for in my pasta, bright colors. Okay, so it's heavy rain and wind, and we really care about the weather on Below Deck. They're constantly giving us updates, and I think it's because of that bridge, because they've got to go through that like boop, and it's so narrow. So any kind of wind will, like, I don't know. To me, we're gonna see a crash. We saw montages of crashes. We keep seeing like those fender things getting squished. I think, I don't know, my prediction this time is we're going to see a crash. We're going to see Cairo get fired, we're going to see Solène get fired, and we're going to see a crash. These are my predictions. Not a major crash, just like a scraping of the side. I don't think anybody's going to get hurt or anything. I think if anybody was going to get hurt, we would be like seeing that. So I don't think that's going to happen. Guests arrived. They seem awesome. Are we ready for some big dick energy? Or no, I shouldn't. I don't know if I'm allowed to say big dick energy on YouTube. BD energy. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to post it and we'll see what happens. I have 32 subscribers. I hope none of you are offended. What happens then? They eat fruit and the fruit is sprayed with gold, and that's exciting. We go through the bridge again. So there was a little bit of weather talk during that time. We get to know the guests a little bit during this time. They're having lunch. They talk about, like, one of them is married and he just This is his boyfriend who he goes, like, I guess on vacations with. Like it's an open relationship. And so Barbara's trying to understand. And so she makes this comment about, oh, so you're married unless you're in sin. And everybody laughs at that. And it was cute and funny. And these guys seem really cool. If you're going to have guests for 5 days, these would be the guests. They don't seem super demanding. They're really wanting to have fun. As long as you're doing your job, I think they're like down to have fun and be chill and cool. So hopefully they don't turn, I think 5 days of like a high maintenance guest with brand new people who don't know what they're doing and Solène who's like doing half a job. That might not be cool for anybody involved, including the guests. But these guys aren't that. So good news on that front. Okay, so then we talk about the deck, and none of the deck crew is getting breaks. Our poor girl Jess is like dying. You can tell she's a very structured person, and I think she's the lead deckhand. So she's like really wanting structure, and the guy above her is providing none. And she's also like getting hungry. And I guess on her last boat, they didn't have a lot of breaks, and she really suffered the consequences. So now she's trying to like make sure she's eating regularly and looking after her body. And the service industry is brutal for providing staff with breaks and an opportunity to eat and whatever. It just is part of the culture. I mean, I think things are changing, at least where I am, things are changing, but definitely breaks are overlooked. And when he says like a lot of boats don't give a crap, he's 100% right. I'm sure that a lot of boats don't give a crap, a lot of rest. So the breaks are getting out of control. And I mean, the lack of breaks, I guess, are getting out of control. And the break management is getting out of control. And they say, like, Damon, I think it's Damon who says, like, nobody knows when they're going to get a break or for how long or with how much notice. So, like, you can't plan for anything, which really sucks. It's hard to work in those conditions. So hopefully he gets it together soon. My prediction is he's going to get fired. We'll see. And then we do a little bit more of an intro to a Rainbow, and she talks about her family life, and she has 3 sisters. And I remember when we first met her, they talked about her 3 sisters, and they're like, 1 year apart from each other, like 16, 17, 18 is how they would be. And I guess they used to fight all the time. So one day their dad took them on a boat trip to an island. I think they were, yeah, age 13, 14, 2 of them, and told them to fight it out on the island. So I guess they fought for 10 minutes and then resolved all their problems through violence. So good news there. She talks about how she just suppresses her feelings and until she blows up. So she has that kind of pattern going on. Sounds like she has some level of awareness of it, and her solution to it is like go into another room to freak out, which isn't necessarily the healthiest coping mechanism, I don't think. And we will see later um, that she just becomes overwhelmed. And I think, I don't know, she's young. She's at the beginning stages of learning. She'll figure it out. I like her. And I hope she does well. She's really like, she's putting herself through a lot of stress that she doesn't need to put herself through, though. And I've been there. I've done that myself. I get it. And it's hard to watch when you know what the outcome is, but also people have to learn on their own and you just have to watch them go through it, and it sucks, but that's life. So her stress is mounting, and she also feels extra pressure because she's been put in charge kind of Solène, and there's just no help. Like, this girl doesn't want to work, so she's taking on a lot of added stress. The chefs are getting along, which is really nice to see. There is some foreshadowing on the potential of them, like Chef Anthony falling apart as soon as Chef Lawrence leaves. It seems like it's mostly Chef Lawrence's menu and prep work and decision making, and Chef Anthony is sort of acting like a sous chef to him, which I don't know if that's just like the way that things naturally fleshed out, because I think Chef Lawrence is more of a natural leader than Chef Anthony, and Chef Anthony is more of a natural follower. Or maybe Captain Carey told them to do it that way, or production. We have it if those conversations were had, it wasn't part of the show, so I'm just purely speculating. But I did make notice that Chef Lawrence is still being the leader of the kitchen at this point. Okay, so then it's time for dinner, and the theme is French cabaret. I always want to say Cabernet like the wine, but it's Cabaret like Luann. We see a naked primary run down the stairs. That's exciting. The guests love the dinner, which is great. The theme is really cool. I'm not a big fan of themes in general on these yacht cruises, and I realize like we need something to talk about. But I gotta tell you, if I was spending that kind of money on a cruise, on a yacht, I don't know that I would want everybody dressed as a clown. I don't know if that's what I would need to make things special. But, French cabaret, that's cool. And it gives the crew the opportunity to dress up too. So the window washer Kyle was one of the guests' favorite part, and it was kind of fun to see. They have a wrecked carrots. That's kind of fun. And one of them was like, they were kind of a limpy burnt carrot. So sad day for that guy. Barbara tells Fraser that Solène was amazing. So now Fraser thinks Solène is amazing. And Solène isn't amazing. So now Fraser is misguided and Rainbow is going to lie about how much work she's doing. So this is a bit of a recipe for disaster. So we'll see what happens, but I did notice that. So dinner's finished, and then we meet the guests more, and they're into having fun, and like some guy puts a fist in his mouth, and it's crazy to see. Can I? Oh, kinda, almost, not like him though. And it hurts my mouth, and I feel like I have wrinkles. So don't try that at home. Big mistake. I need chapstick now. But they seem really fun. So we talk about breaks with the deck crew again and safety. And I think this is when Jess actually tells us all about her last crew and everything. So we learn all about that. And then we see Rainbow showing Solène a bunch of shortcuts because they're finishing up for the night and everybody wants to go to bed. So she's asking her to like polish the cutlery and put it right in the drawer rather than on the table. And Solène just kind of says nothing, like just a bunch of whatever, and doesn't do any of it. So now there's a ton of work, and Rainbow insists on rather than making Solène stay up for an extra hour and help her get through it, that she's got to go to bed because she's got to wake up in the morning to help everybody. Solène even makes the comment like, "Oh, there's so much work in front of you." But doesn't offer to stay up, doesn't offer to help, nothing like that. It was more of like a general observation, like the fairies are going to come down and get it done rather than like this poor girl is going to be up until 3 a.m. doing this. So instead, this poor girl is up until 3 a.m. doing this. And in the midst of everything, she has like a giant panic attack. I mean, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, when you're in the weeds, people, you see them all the time. They go into the coolers and they cry. And then you get out of the cooler and you go and you serve your section. It's a really crappy part of the industry. It is what it is. I think we've all been there. You're overwhelmed. You're in the weeds. There's nothing you can do. And you just got to get through it. So she cries, has a panic attack, and gets through it, carries on vacuuming, and stays up until I think 3 or 3:10. And Damon was on night watch, so he knows what time she left, but she told Fraser and the rest of her team that she finished at 2. So she's lying about her end time. And she says that the reason why she's lying is so she can wake up earlier in the morning and help them because she doesn't think that the girls will be able to manage it on their own. So this girl is definitely on a fast track of burnout. So last time I did a poll, and I don't know if I did a proper poll, but I said I was going to do a poll, and then I put like a poll in the comments. But she's my dark horse for being the person to leave. So if Celine stays around, or even if she doesn't, she's my dark horse for like burnout. I think she's going to burn herself out and have to leave. That's my prediction for a possible with Rainbow. She's definitely doing the wishful thinking, brushing everything in under the rug, which she said she does all the time, and then she blows up. So we've already seen her have one panic attack now. Or is she gonna? What's on the horizon? If she just has a panic attack, like what's next? I have a feeling like she's gonna freak out soon. Plus, somebody's gonna freak out soon. This girl isn't doing anything. The guests are going to freak out soon because there's going to be a poop in the toilet and nobody's going to clean it. Anyway, now we go to the next morning and everybody wakes up and the guests are like working out and stuff and talking about what happened the night before. And apparently somebody got I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube. So I'm just going to say there were some water sports because we're talking about Below Deck and you guys can watch the show and figure out what I'm talking about. Or, you know what? Do me a favor, comment and tell me, am I allowed to talk about this stuff? Or like, am I going to have like restrictions and like whatnot? Am I going to end up being like an adult only site or something like that? Because it's quite graphic. Hashtag water sports. And so, in the process of getting to know the guests more and talking about the water sports and whatnot, I think Barbara is talking to them about how she came out to her family. And then we get to have a little intro of Barbara, get to know her more. She seems super nice. There's not really much to say there other than we like her and she had a pretty easy time coming out of the closet. Her parents were more like worried about her, but they said like go live your life and be who you are. So good news there. And now we say goodbye to Chef Lawrence. Bye, Chef Lawrence. I really like getting to know you on Below Deck, and I'm sad to see you go. And I don't know how Chef Anthony is going to do without you, but I'm rooting for him. And I think you are too, which was really nice to see. And I hope you don't regret your decision also, because I think that you probably pretty easily could, because I have a feeling fans are going to like you. But I think that if you did move forward with Below Deck and you could, like, I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. It would have been interesting to see. But take good care of yourself and thank you for being on a Below Deck. And now over to Chef Anthony. Chef Anthony, what's going to happen to you? I can't wait to see. I have a feeling it's not going to be amazing. And I have a feeling you're going to get mad at Fraser and you're probably going to make all these mistakes and then blame Fraser for them. That's my prediction there. What do you guys think? Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think there's potential there? Let me know. So after Lawrence leaves, we flash to Captain Carey talking to Caio about snorkeling and where the guests are going to snorkel. And I guess Captain Carey had pointed to the spot that Caio had told him and told the guests, yeah, we're going to circle over there and like really, made a big deal about the whole thing. And it turns out that wasn't the right spot. Kale was like, funny thing is what's over there. And Captain Carey got a little bit upset at that. He's like, you kind of made me look like a clown in front of the guests. Get your information and facts right before you have me speaking to the guests, which I have a feeling that the guests won't even care or notice, but I 100% agree with Captain Carey. And I also think that these guys are so into navigation that, like, maybe they think, there and there makes a big difference in, like, to regular people. I'm not sure that it does. It doesn't to me. I mean, I'm very directionally challenged. So maybe the other way is who I am. But, like, if you point at one spot in the ocean and versus another spot in the ocean, it's not going to be that different to me. So don't stress too much, Captain Carey. I don't think you were that much of a clown. And honestly, these spots, they look like the same. It's kind of like my ocean around here. It's not that much different. I mean, there are nicer beaches. I will say there are nicer beaches versus like not as nice beaches, but I mean, just from looking, it's not that different. And then the banana floats away. So the guests go snorkeling, and then the banana floats away. So while the guests are out snorkeling, the banana is like floating away. The banana is like this big toy that they ride on or play on. I don't really know. It's a giant banana thing. It looks like something that like a boat would tow you on. I don't know why you would need that on a super yacht as an adult. I have no idea. What would I play on Below Deck? Is that what you're asking me? Oh my goodness, I just heard it. I would want to play with those things that like they go like swimming. You go and it like, but you're in the water. It's not like a skidoo when you're outside in the water doing that. That's like too much for me. I want to be in the water with like that like super fast swimmy thing. I don't know what those are called. If you know what those are called, tell me because I really want one. But that's the game of choice for me and the slide. The slide looks awesome. Plus, they always have such trouble like with the slide, so I would insist on the slide. What would you guys do? What are your favorite? Would you choose the banana? Tell me you would choose the banana. I don't think anybody would choose the banana unless they're like little kids, or unless there's something about that banana that I'm unaware of. So the banana goes floating away. Kyle decides to jump in with one of those scootery things and go get it. So, he calls for a few people. Nobody answers. And you got to do what you got to do. So off he went. I would have done the same thing. It's a good excuse to go off on one of those things. And he made it back. So thank goodness for that. And then Captain Carey talks to Chef Anthony and kind of like sort of resetting the ground, let them know where they were at last year and that he has confidence in him and blah, 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 and he's nervous, whatever. That went well. And then the guests come back and they're coming back like way earlier than expected. There isn't any type of heads up. So all of the crew have to scramble, jump into shape, and get ready for the guests coming back with like little to no notice. Again, this is Cairo's fault. So we've had a few intros of Cairo now. We've got to know him really well. And I think that this might be his last episode. We'll see. But I have to say, there's a number of mistakes, and Captain Carey is like finicky. He's not going to be putting up with this stuff, especially from the bosun. If it was some like stew stuff, I think he would have a longer, thread of patience. I don't think he's going to have it for the bosun. Safety is too big of an issue, first of all. And it's also too much of like direct contact with him. If somebody is like directly like annoying you at work, you're going to notice that a lot more than like not direct annoyances. I'm just going to say you're going to have a little bit more patience with those that you're not working directly with who are annoying you. So, yeah, so Captain Carey calls him into the office and says there's too many mistakes. And what happened to the checklist? You were supposed to have a checklist. I don't think he's got a checklist. If he had a checklist, people would be getting their breaks. I don't think he's got any type of organizing at all. I think he had a conversation and it went in one ear and out the other. I think that checklist is floating away with the banana. I think that's where that checklist is. There's no checklist. This guy's going to get fired. I promise you. Well, I don't promise you because I don't know, but that's my prediction. And that's how it ends. That's my prediction. This guy's going to get fired, and that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. This is Below Deck, Season 12, Episode 3, Reality and Resin Recap with That Lady Heather. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I will see you next time. And it will be earlier next time. And you'll get notified because you hit the bell, right? I know you did. And you probably liked it. You should probably share it. I think you could share it too. That's exciting, eh? Bye, you guys. Talk to you later.